Okay, this is what I've been spending the past couple of my days researching. This is kind of like what I get into when I have free time. But it was really bothering me. Why Yeshua, which is Jesus' name, why in the Greek did they call him Yesu when they could have called him Yeshua? And I don't understand why they dropped the ending. And there's lots of possibilities that came in my mind. One was it was a problem with declension. So like the Greeks, they changed the nouns, the ending of nouns based on the context. So they don't have words like for or of or for possessives and stuff like that. So they changed the actual word. So and a lot of people argued for that, but I totally blew that away in my research because there's actually a lot of Hebrew names that end in a. The other hypothesis was that the ending names sounded too feminine, and so they had to make it more masculine because it's a male name. But that gets shot out of the water because there's a lot of Hebrew names that end in that are man's names, and the Greek preserves their names just fine. So here's where my research led me, and finally I wrote here, just to wrap up, after cross-posting in several forums, for anyone who's been following this thread, the best explanation for pronunciation of words ending in vowel plus ayin. Ayin is the Hebrew letter that King Yeshua's name ends in. And a lot of Hebrew names end in this letter. It looks like a Y, if you can see it there. I can't show the touches on this. There's a link here. If you click on that, it will take you to this video that explains the issue of words ending with a vowel plus ayin. And basically what it explains is the vowel ah sound is actually not in King Yeshua's name. The ah is not spelt there. What happens is kind of how so the ah sound is added for easier pronunciation, kind of like how we say an apple instead of a apple. We add an n to make it easier to pronounce. So instead of saying because the ayin sounds like a ch, so instead of saying ye shu and going directly to that like guttural sound, they added an sound to make it easier to pronounce for some reason, and that was the thing they did. So instead of yeshuch, they did yeshuach, and so the vowel sound pops in there when it's not actually written down. It is actually written down, so I mean, anyway, it's hard to explain. Yet several male names end in the exact same way, and most of them were spelt using the Greek epsilon, as in the following. Ezra, for example, Abishua in Ezra 7:5 is spelt Abisue, so they added an ending epsilon for the sound. First Chronicles 8:33, Melchishua is spelt Melchisue, so instead of it's which is fine. Epsilon, they added epsilon. Hosea 1:1, we call him Hosea, but his name's more like Hoshea, and more actually like Hoshiach. And the Greeks wrote his name as Hosea, and they added an epsilon at the end. So they could have done that for Yeshua. They could have added an epsilon at the end, and I don't understand why they just didn't do that, as all these names are exactly spelled the same exact way in Hebrew, with the vowel plus ayin, the Hebrew ayin. So it just didn't make any sense. It still doesn't make sense to me, really. Also, a man and woman's name, so there's other names which are consonant plus ayin, and in the Greek, they just straight up use a Greek alpha to spell those. So they could have done that with Yeshua. I don't understand. For example, First Chronicles 7:32, there's a girl named Shua, so like Yeshua, and her name is spelled the same way as King Yeshua. And they spell her name in Greek Sola. So and that's not a consonant plus ayin. I mean, her name is straight up the same as King Yeshua's name, straight up spelled the same. Instead of Yeshua, it's just Shua, and the Greeks spelled her name Sola, which is completely utterly strange. And here's a guy named Tola. Now he's a consonant plus ayin, so I mean, you don't have that furtive pata that they talked about, adding the ah sound in there. I mean, it's just a straight up ah. It's Tola, and they had no problem writing his name Tola with an alpha. So it just doesn't make sense why they didn't write Yeshua. For Yeshua, I don't see what stopped them from spelling his name any of the following ways. They could have done it like I wrote here: Isua, Isuach, Isuach, Isue, Isue, Isuach, Isuach. So what I've become convinced of after doing this study is that the end of Yeshua's name was most definitely that hard-breathed, breathalyzed sound that sounds like you're coughing up a lung. But I'm starting to see why it became popular to shorten Yeshua into just Yeshu, I guess. So now, if you don't know, in Israel, there are lots of people named after, we say Joshua, Yehoshua, and for short, they just call him Yeshu. I still don't see why, out of all of the names I listed above, only Yeshua gets ayin dropped, just him. But I've given up researching further. I'm happy with what I've discovered here, because what I discovered was that the ending of Yeshua's name is actually a breathalyzed like sound, so it's hard for us to say that even English speakers. The other thing that is obvious, I mean, this probably is the answer, is that the word Yeshua just means rescue. It's like a verbal noun in Greek. There's a verb to help someone, and then the help that you get is called Yeshua. And so I understand why Hebrews would call him Yeshu, because if they didn't, they would call him Yeshua, Yeshuach, Yeshuach, and that would mean rescue, and that would sound a little strange or awkward to them, which makes sense for them, but then it doesn't make sense why his name is spelled exactly Yeshuach in Hebrew, and they go and for Greek people who don't understand that Yeshua means rescue, they blatantly drop the and just totally ignore all of the other ways people named Shua were in the Bible and call Yeshua Yesu. So I don't understand that. And all this is funny because of the Greek calling him Yesu. Then long days after, when his name was Romanized in the Roman alphabet, they spelt it Yesu with an I at the beginning, copying the Greek instead of the Hebrew. And then the Swiss, they started to write the beginning I with a J because that was their Y sound. Yeah. So Yesu, they would start with a J. And then when the English speakers got a hold of that, they copied it from the Swiss. So they copied his name as Jesus. And then we started pronouncing that Jesus, where the Swiss would pronounce it Jesus, which the ending S is only an attribute of the Greek language. It's not even what his name was. So I just always thought it's funny that people call him Jesus, that we call him Jesus, when his name is utterly, completely, absolutely different. It's Yeshua is the closest that I think English speakers can get to his Hebrew name. And it's more like Yeshua. And I don't understand. It's just completely silly that we call him Jesus. I think I don't think it's wrong that we call him Jesus, because the Greeks, obviously called him Yesu, which also is not his name, which was completely fine with God because the Greek Bible, he inspired it. So I think he's okay with calling him Jesus. I'm not saying that's wrong or anything, but I won't do it. But I don't think it's wrong. But anyways, this is what I spent my last few days researching. That's all.